Samuel Kennedy, class of 1995. Now entering your 18th season with the Boston Red Sox and your third as president and CEO, and fresh off the 2018 World Series championship. Yes, I'm a Red Sox fan! You have played an instrumental role in the dramatic growth of the Red Sox brand. You also are active in your Massachusetts community, offering your service to various organizations. Start, Adam. In recognition of your distinguished career in Major League Baseball, in particular with the Boston Red Sox, as well as your charitable work with the community, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Trinity College, I hereby confer upon you, Samuel H. Kennedy, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. And this year, the commencement address will be delivered by Samuel H. Kennedy. You so don't need this. Exactly. We'll just kick it to the side.
There we go.
Either way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Mom and Dad, you can call me Doctor now. How you guys doing? We're about in the 5th inning, so hang in there. We're going to make it, I promise. In Trinity baseball, you guys got 2 more games to win today. So, yeah, let's hear it. Let's focus. Let's focus. Incredibly, in 1995, I was sitting right here on the quad at my very own Trinity graduation, hoping for a short commencement address, by the way. And if you would have told me that 24 years later, I would receive an honorary degree, I would have laughed. I really would have laughed out loud. And I would have replied, yeah, right. The day that I speak at Trinity College is the same day that the Patriots, the Red Sox, the Celtics, and the Bruins will win 12 championships among them, and Donald Trump will be elected President of the United States. Well, I do have to admit, I am a bit confused. Over the last 4 years, Trinity's commencement speakers have included a cultural anthropologist, a philosopher, an editor of a big-time city newspaper, and a civil rights activist. How this year's search committee settled on the 1995 Cy-U beer pong champion to follow in those footsteps is incredible to me. But as the legendary singer Paul Simon once wrote, these are indeed the days of miracle and wonder. So I'll try, folks. I'll try. President Berger Sweeney, Board of Trustees, President's Cabinet, members of the faculty and staff, good afternoon. To my fellow alumni, especially my wife, Amanda, class of 1994, yes, a much older woman, thank you for being here. To my parents, Tom and Joanna, remember I'm now Doctor, I know that you were shocked when Trinity College actually accepted me. I cannot imagine what you are thinking right now. And to the guests of honor, congratulations to the great Trinity class of 2019. '19 was another banner year for the Bantams. Yes, we won 5 NESCAC championships in football, men's ice hockey, men's squash, women's squash, and men's golf. There were All-Americans galore. National rankings in women's lacrosse, women's rowing, men's lacrosse. And as I mentioned, the baseball team in the postseason, and we're going to have a sweep today. I suppose that I should mention that I was also on the Trinity baseball team, and I can assure you this has no connection to my being asked back here this afternoon. That brief period on the baseball team did, however, shape my future, though not exactly in the way I had imagined. I chose Trinity in part because I wanted to play baseball, and as captain of the Brookline High baseball team, I definitely envisioned myself as NESCAC's next hardball hero. I did abandon the notion that I would ever make the big leagues, but Division III baseball in New England? Sign me up, no problem. I spent my freshman year over there on Vernon Street in good old North Campus. And yeah, it's here for North. And unfortunately, I spent much of the spring sitting on the end of the baseball bench. Not exactly a confidence booster. So I came up with what I thought was a foolproof idea on how to find out how I might fit into Coach Bill Decker's plans going forward. I told him at some point I'd hoped to take a semester studying overseas, but of course, if I went away in the spring, I'd have to miss a baseball season. Decker loved the idea. "That's really great that you're planning ahead, Sam," he said. "You should definitely do a semester abroad in the spring." Great. I just managed to cut myself from the baseball team. My playing days, done. I guess you could say at 19 years old, I had come to a crossroads. Baseball, or so it seemed, would no longer be the organizing principle in my life. At least not in the way I had envisioned it. I was searching for some direction, and I found it. Not on the baseball field, sorry, faculty, not in a classroom, and not even in the basement of SIU. Nope, I found it in a movie theater. The flick was called City Slickers. Now, I know you students have never heard of this movie, I know, but that's why God invented Netflix, so check it out. Your parents, however, may know what I'm talking about. The main character was a guy named Mitch. He was a guy unhappy with his life. Stuck in his job, his marriage had gone stale. Mitch escaped with his buddies to take one of those vacations that was going to offer you a life experience you'd otherwise never have. In this case, these city boys went out on a cattle drive, where Mitch meets a crusty old cowboy named Curly, who is as real as they come, and he offers this piece of advice. "You know what the secret to life is?" Curly says. "This." He holds up his leather glove and sticks out one finger. "Your finger?" Mitch says. "One thing," Curly says, "just one thing." "And what is that one thing?" Mitch says. "That," Curly says, "is what you've got to figure out." Pretty profound, right? You philosophy students must be wondering why you spent so many hours studying Aristotle and Plato with Professor Lloyd. But I can tell you this, truth has a funny way of revealing itself. And the one thing for me that has held fast through the course of my life is that the personal relationships you form are all that really matter. And when you truly recognize and cherish the value of those relationships, you create opportunities and you establish a culture that allows miracles to happen, like, say, a Trinity College bench warmer becoming the president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox. Let me be clear, I'm not talking about electronic likes, selfies, swipes, or even texts. I am talking about genuine, authentic relationships, the kinds of bonds that can change your life. So am I saying that I've discovered the secret of life? As Curly would say, that's for you guys to figure out. But indulge me for just a few minutes while I tell you how relationships have impacted my journey and how human connections transformed a baseball team that had conditioned generations of New Englanders into believing that in the end, we're all going to have our hearts broken. Taking a cue from my old high school teammate, Theo Epstein, who had recently landed an internship with the Baltimore Orioles, I spent my sophomore year walking from Clemens to the Computer Science Center, feverishly writing letters to Major League Baseball clubs, seeking a summer internship. I wrote nearly 100 letters to owners, presidents, and general managers of teams in search of just one opportunity. Yes, Trinity students, good old-fashioned typewritten letters with stamps and envelopes and all. But as quickly as those letters went out, the rejection letters came back, filling up my mailbox at Mather. While this may sound discouraging, the thrill of receiving envelopes adorned with Major League Baseball logos was enough to keep me going. And then, on March 31st, 1993, I received this, an offer letter. Wait for it. Yes, from the New York Yankees. For 3 summers, I interned at Yankee Stadium, doing all sorts of entry-level work. Evidently, they did not see me as the next Derek Jeter of their front office, because when I graduated, there was no job waiting for me. So I took a job selling radio advertising in New York City. I hated every minute of it. By then, my childhood friend Theo had followed his boss, Larry Lucchino, out west to San Diego, and he offered to put in a good word for me. Soon, I found myself working in sales for the San Diego Padres. And 6 years later, when Larry signed on with John Henry and Tom Werner in their bid to buy the Boston Red Sox, 2 kids from Brookline High were on their way home. I remember our dads telling us, "Be bold, guys. Do not waste this opportunity." We vowed to make a difference, and we worked 24/7 to prove it. And again, we saw the value in human connections and personal relationships. When the Minnesota Twins cut David Ortiz, his close friend Pedro Martinez got on the phone to us and called us and urged us to sign him. The legend of Big Papi was born. Then, my close friend, my Cy-U brother, Jay Monahan, class of 1993, helped us sign pitcher Keith Folk. You see, Keith was a huge hockey fan, and Jay was a sports agent working for Bobby Orr, only the greatest hockey player of all time. Jay called Bobby, who called Keith. Keith was blown away. That sealed the deal. With these players intact, we were able to pull off the greatest comeback in baseball history and win our first World Series in 86 years. And for me, this was personal. My dad, Tom Kennedy, an Episcopal priest, used to take me to Fenway Park on his standing room clergy pass and hoist me up onto his shoulders to watch the games. After Theo and I received our 2004 World Series rings, we gave them to our dads on Father's Day. There was no more important relationship to be celebrated. We won another championship in 2007, but nothing could prepare our organization for what took place on Patriots Day 2013, when 2 bombs went off at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Our city was in shock. All of us, especially our players, instinctively knew that we had to play a part in Boston's recovery. Fenway became more than a ballpark. It was the civic gathering place in which David Ortiz grabbed the microphone and defiantly declared, "This was our city." And I'll bet you remember this. Big Papi added an F-bomb that only Big Papi could get away with. Our players knew they were playing for something bigger than themselves. Yes, you can draw a direct line from our third World Series title to the bond that formed between our organization and our city that was indeed Boston strong. Relationships? Let me tell you one final story. We were wrapping up our contract negotiations in late 2017 with our new manager, Alex Cora, when I got the call from our general manager. Sam, Alex has one more ask. Here we go, I thought. He wants more money, more years, or he wants the biggest hotel suite on the road. No, it's nothing like that. He wants to know if we can arrange for an airplane to deliver supplies to Puerto Rico, which was battered by Hurricane Maria. I said 100% yes. We arranged for a trip to Caguas, Alex's hometown. Our manager, our front office, and our players brought over 10 tons of food and medical supplies. Alex had taken us home, his home, to offer hope, comfort, and aid. That trip set a powerful tone of shared purpose, which revealed itself time and again all last year. We won 108 games, a franchise record. Our players were never more united in their commitment to each other. Ironically, it was a loss last year that defined our winningest season. It happened on the night that refused to end. You might remember Game 3 of the World Series against the Dodgers, which lasted 7 hours and 20 minutes over 18 excruciating innings. On the mound for the last 6 innings of that game was Nate Eovaldi. Let's hear it for Nate. Inning after inning, he held the Dodgers at bay, throwing an ungodly 97 pitches before the Dodgers won on a walk-off home run. If you were still watching out here in Hartford at 3:30 that morning, you saw that when Eovaldi came walking off the mound, his teammates were waiting for him on the top step of the dugout. What you didn't see was a scene back in the clubhouse. Alex Cora told his team, years from now, when people talk about this game, they will not talk about who won and who lost. They will talk about Nathan Eovaldi and how much he put on the line for all of us. Our players, some of them in tears, stood and applauded. One by one, they embraced Eovaldi with affection, appreciation, and awe. When we left the clubhouse that night, it was not as a defeated team. That was the night we knew that we were going to win our 4th World Series championship. A week after returning home in triumph from Los Angeles, there was one final trip to make. We returned to Caguas to celebrate the end of this magical journey in the place where it had all began. Relationships, a team from Boston, and an island in the Caribbean, forever connected. For the non-baseball fans in the audience, I'm sorry, I've burdened you with more baseball in one day than you've had to endure in your entire lives. But I hope you understand that you can substitute your own passion for mine, and the message does not change. It's all in the relationships, Trinity graduates. And for me, Trinity College is family. Recognize, cherish, and nurture the relationships you have forged here, and embrace those that will come your way. Your lives will be so much richer for it. Author and researcher Brené Brown said, quote, "We are hardwired to connect to others. It is what gives us purpose and gives meaning to our lives." Life is indeed a team sport. I urge each and every one of you to help each other, look out for each other, and care for each other. Before I go, one final thing. Years from now, maybe even minutes from now, you will not remember who your commencement speaker was. And I will not take that personally. But I am confident you will remember this. You see, I decided to get each and every one of you a graduation gift. A week from Monday, Memorial Day, the Red Sox are playing at Fenway Park. Game time, 4:05. I invite each of you graduates, plus a guest, to join us. You see, there's no better place on the planet than Fenway Park to build and foster relationships. Just show up at Gate B and tell the ticket vendor you are from Trinity's class of 2019. Your name is on the list. Tell them Sam sent you. Thank you and congratulations.